Ladies, how does it feel when you have to make every single decision in your household because your men are paralyzed and incapable of doing it? Ladies, how does it feel when you have to lead every discussion with a teacher at school, when you have to lead every single discussion and he sits there and eats his sandwich? How does it feel when you are the one that drags your children and husband kicking and screaming to church on a Sunday morning at best? Or at worst, he doesn't go at all and your children ask you, why doesn't daddy have to go? And I do. Ladies, it puts a terrible weight on your shoulders when you have to carry the spiritual leadership in your home, when you care about God and your husband doesn't, and he has umpteen million excuses. But guys, how does it feel? Guys, how does it feel when a woman puts you down in your home and treats you as though you need a mom to pick up your socks rather than a partner to make decisions and lead you spiritually? How does it feel when the ladies don't trust you? And maybe it's your fault or maybe it's their fault, I don't know, but how does it feel when you are robbed of your position of leadership and you lose your identity in that spiritual leadership position and you feel useless and you sit on the couch and you say, well, I'm not good at anything, so I just quit? It hurts, doesn't it? When all of a sudden you know that the Bible tells you that you're supposed to be in a leadership position in your house and you're like, I don't even know how to do it anymore. Friends, let's take stock of our relationships as I will mine. Let's take stock of our relationships and see what happens when the boat of faith sinks, when we mess these roles up. Our children are harmed, our society is destabilized, and more importantly, when we mess up the roles, guess what can't happen? Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. When we mess up these roles, we lose Jesus being seen in our homes. That's the price that we pay when this gets messed up. And so as we make an acknowledgement of the times that we have stepped out of our roles one way or the other, here's what I also want you to see today. There is someone who carried out his role perfectly every time because you and I could not. His name is Jesus Christ. And as you look into this lesson, you see very clearly in Ephesians 5 what Jesus Christ has done for you. Husbands, love your wives. How? As Christ loved the church. And what did Christ do? He gave himself up for you. He offered his perfect life as a sacrifice for you. Think about what Jesus submitted himself to. He submitted himself to living exactly the way that his Father told him. He submitted himself to pain and agony on the cross. He put himself underneath your sin, gave himself the role of the one to be punished, so that in heaven you would no longer be under the thumb of anything. Yes, in this life we mess up our roles all the time. Yes, in this life, we step outside of our roles for a whole variety of reasons. Maybe it's because the husband didn't do what he was supposed to. Maybe it's because the wife didn't do what she's supposed to. But regardless, Jesus Christ, through his blood, presents us as a radiant church without stain, wrinkle, or any other blemish, so that now, when we go to heaven, all that brokenness in the world that we caused, all that broken family garbage that we have caused in this world is now made whole again. So that in heaven, we have a perfect family relationship with our Savior who loves us, where we submit to praising him every single day. Dear friends, as you get before this lesson, maybe you approach it like I do, with a little bit of fear and trepidation. And maybe you approach these words with a little bit of trepidation because you look at them and they really needle your heart as they do mine. And so you say, oh my goodness, there are those times in my life when I didn't lead the ladies of this church and I didn't lead my daughter and my wife the way that I was supposed to. And maybe you ladies feel some of the same things for your role. But then you say, because Jesus has forgiven me, because he loves me, now I want something different. Now as a single person, I am going to chase after someone who will do that for me in that relationship. As a married person, you say, because of Jesus, I want it to be different. And now you ask, how can I do that? And here's how. At the beginning of this lesson, it says first, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. And then at the end of the lesson, it says, we are all members of Christ's body. That's very intentional, that at the beginning and the end, he talks about how we are equal for salvation, equally loved by God, and equally cared for by him.